You are a journalist, so you care about the truth.
Yes.
And you care about accuracy. She's yelling at you, yelling at you, and then she finishes it off with, "Welcome to Rhode Island, bitch."
Which is great. I mean, she was saying that my husband was gay. She was saying, just admit you're in a lavender marriage. She was saying my infertility issues were a lie. Like, were you there when we were trying to make a baby? I don't think so. Not that I remember anyways. You've now attacked me a bunch of times, accused me of a bunch of stuff. You don't listen to anything that I say about anything. And I'm still inviting you over my house. You know, I am a little messy and I am nosy Rosie, so like I enjoy it. As a forward journalist, I love to watch it unfold.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Obsessed, the podcast. I'm Kevin Fallon, here to guide you through all the TV shows, movies, and pop culture nonsense that we think is unmissable. And it should be no surprise that I'm absolutely obsessed with the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Easily the most bonkers Real Housewives installment we've had in a very, very long time. It is explosive, it is fun, it is very funny, and we have one of its breakout stars, Rosie Woods DiMare, as our guest today. She gives us all the tea about what's going on, and we talked to her at just the right time because if you've been watching, she had quite a big episode that just aired. And then I have a fun pop culture catch-up with our producer, Rachel, where we talk about all the TV shows and movies that we've been watching. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Rosie. Hello, Rosie.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming from Rhode Island.
Anytime, just for you.
Thank you. You're on what I think is maybe the hottest, coolest show on TV right now.
Isn't that crazy? It's weird to me that you guys are all seeing it, because in my mind, this is all like old news.
Yeah.
You know?
It has to be such a weird experience that like people are now commenting on your life months after you
Yeah.
experience
Like
it.
a lot of it happened almost a year ago.
That's
So it's
wild.
so weird, yeah.
Well, I mean, what does it feel like to be, like, you get to call yourself a Real Housewife, which in the year 2026, this wasn't always the case, but in 2026, that's like a coronation.
Yeah, it's like you're the president now. It's crazy. It's really weird. I don't think it's totally hit me yet. Like I've disassociated somehow, where I'm like, well, this is happening, but I'm not really a part of it or something. Like in my head, I have to like stay normal.
Yeah.
So I don't really think about it. It is weird. I was in LA a couple days ago and I went to a Mexican restaurant and Justin Sylvester was there. And he, you know, obviously from E! News, I've known him for so long. I've known of him. But suddenly he was like, oh my God, Rosie's here. And I was like, excuse me, what? Like Justin Sylvester, you know me? So it's like stuff like that is really weird.
Yeah.
But also really fun. But other than that, my life is very much the same.
Yeah, I always wonder because it's different for different cities.
Yeah.
In Beverly Hills, all those housewives, whenever they go out anywhere, they're being accosted people because that's that town.
Yeah.
But I've talked to like Heather Gay and Whitney Rose about being in Salt Lake City, and I think especially because of the Mormonism of it all and their stance against the church, people act like they don't exist when they're walking around. It's such a so. What is the Rhode Island vibe?
So it's hard for me to know in Rhode Island because I was already, I was going to the supermarket and people were like, Rosie, hey,
Because you were tell the people who don't know.
Right, I was on the news for over a decade. Not always in Rhode Island, but I've worked for both Channel 12 and Channel 10, and now I have my own little show on Channel 6. So it wasn't weird for me to go places and for people to ask about my co-host or to like mention something that we were talking about on the show, or even, I've been off mainstream media and just had my own little thing going on for 2 years, and people are still coming up and talking about stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't super weird. I think for me, it was way weirder to go to other places the last month and a half, and suddenly everybody's like, we know you too. That's super weird. But yeah, I feel like in Rhode Island, people are kind of like playing it cool, which is so Rhode Island.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, we don't even care, but it's also like
yeah.
exciting. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed anything change drastically, which I guess means they're playing it cool.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah.
I've seen people lose their fucking shit over seeing a housewife.
Right. So that's not happening. Yeah. But I was walking my dog last night, who, by the way, Clemmy is very famous now. People recognize Clemmy before me because I was walking around, I had sweatpants on, I had pimple patches all over my face. I was just like, you need to pee because I've got to go to bed. I got to get up at like 5 a.m. today. And I'm walking around, I'm trying to get her to like go potty, and somebody stopped me and was like, you. And I was like, oh God, that's not when I want to be recognized. But it is kind of weird that keeps happening.
It's never when you're your best self.
No,
never.
It's never when, it's like running into an ex. It never happens when you look your best.
Of course.
It only happens after like a root canal. Like it's always the worst time,
I remember after I went through a breakup, I purposefully like dressed well and like did my hair every day before leaving, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case I had the run-in.
One day you didn't. That's when it happens. Yeah.
So we brought up your your history working for the news.
Yeah.
There are a lot of gay media people who are like, this girl stole my tagline, because
I've seen that.
we do our like. What would our Real Housewives tagline be comes up more often than you would think.
It really does, doesn't it?
And your tagline is, I used to
report the news, now I'm the headline. Or the main headline, I don't know, I can't remember.
Which is, that like, especially the now I'm the headline part is something that a lot of news reporters that I know, I've made that joke myself.
Right.
It's like our fantasy Real Housewives tagline.
I get, it's so funny. I never thought I would be on a show like this. I was always told that I should be on a reality show, and I think people expected maybe like The Bachelor or something for me, or like Love is Blind or something. I don't think anybody saw this coming like in this way, so I never really thought of a tagline for me.
Yeah.
But then obviously, you have to come up with one, and I did come up with this one myself, I must say.
Good.
And you know what? Like, the news is kind of in my rear view, so I felt like this is kind of the only time to use it. Next year, I'm sure it'll have nothing to do with the news, but it's like, let's just like go in that direction for now. Why not? Might be your last chance, So
I want to talk about what it is about the show that is captivating. Even like Bravo fans already will just put something on Bravo and we'll just watch it.
Of course.
But this is hitting on another level. It's
I mean, #1 on Peacock for like every week in a row.
That's insane for a first season of a show.
People are watching. I guess people don't usually watch that as intensely as they, we're like #4 on Peacock. It's weird how well it's going. Critics' Choice nominations after 4 episodes.
I'm a voter.
Oh, really?
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so it is crazy. I think it's just because, we all are interconnected in some way. I didn't know some of these girls as much as they know each other, and I think, them really having these deep roots really helped. I think also me and Ashley not really getting it was also kind of interesting.
You need that perspective.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Right, or even like, I don't really know these girls, but they're going to throw out every accusation they've ever heard of me, and now I'm starting to do that too. Welcome if you haven't seen the last episode. But it's like, it's weird. Like, Rhode Island really is a small place, and like you can't not go to a grocery store and have somebody say, watch out for this girl because she does this and that. And I'm the first to be like, noted, like, thank you, which apparently means I have a whole notes app on these girls, which I wish I did have, honestly, after the season I had.
Don't ever do that.
No, I would never do that. It's also, I think the only people saying things like that are very much projecting, and also they are very calculated. And I think if we look at track records, you can see that who's attacking who in each scene, who's coming up with a new accusation each week. It's not me. I asked if she was polygamous at a picnic,
Okay, so we need to talk about that part.
Yeah.
I've watched all of these shows for so long. I'm such a Bravo fan, Real Housewives addict. I have never seen a season of a Real Housewives that just starts right away with, we're talking about polyamory. We're talking about multiple affairs from different women. We're talking about the woman who's married to the guy that used to date the sister, and the sister's still around.
It's very confusing. And as somebody that was an outsider looking into a lot of that, because I was friends with Ashley, I'm friends with Alicia, and even Rula is one of my friends now, but I knew of Rula beforehand. I didn't know these people, and I didn't know anything about them. And so it is very complicated to go in and be like, wait, so you date him, but he dated her, but then you dated him too, and then you both slept with them, and then you went over there, and then like them, and you went over there, and now you date him, but you also date him, but you're also over here. And then, and it's like, oh God, like I don't know what's fully going on. It's a lot.
And the things like, Kelsey having a sugar daddy, or Liz having the ongoing with her best friend.
Right.
These are things that would normally take like 2 seasons to be finally brought up, and then once they're brought up, that housewife will storm off set and refuse to film anymore.
Oh.
And these are, in this show, they're being brought up by the women themselves at the start.
Yeah. I think a lot of people wanted to get ahead of things, probably. I know that even just going back to that whole, like, I hate Rosie because she had a notes app thing, which she's never been in my phone. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah. It's not unlike her to lie, so whatever. But I think that if you have a lot to hide, you're going to do 2 things. You're either going to project on other people or attack somebody else to prevent them from attacking you, or you're going to be super upfront about it so you can spin your narrative. And I think with different people, we're seeing them do both of those things. as a former journalist, I love to watch it unfold and, messy. I am a little messy and I am nosy Rosie. So, I enjoy it. I'm always going to have follow-up questions. I think they also hate that.
Do you like Nosy Rosie as a nickname?
I kind of love Nosy Rosie. I don't see, the negative connotation. But here's the thing, too. I was a full-time reporter. I did traffic at the end of my career. It was my cushy little whatever. I'm doing traffic and lifestyle. I was 22 years old having to go up to politicians and ask them things I didn't want to ask them. Yeah. But the newsroom said I had to go ask them. So at this point in my life, especially when I'm making friends I want to know the truth. I want to get to know you. I want to ask you questions and you can ask me questions and we can get to know each other and it can be a whole thing. I think it's weird to not ask your friends questions or to try to understand where they're coming from in their life. But I think if you don't want certain things to be asked and you don't necessarily have a good answer for certain things, that it would be a problem to ask those questions. Yeah. So I've also had a lot of therapy in my life. And so I'm let's just hash it out and talk,
I mean,
let's all hear each other.
Being a journalist and also having gone to therapy, I think are two unique things for a housewife.
It's a crazy concept, really.
Do you think that sort of helps you in the group dynamic or hurts you?
It hurt me. Okay. I mean, the first couple of weeks, I was thinking nothing of it. I'm just going to ask questions and I'll hear answers and then I'll understand and then we can go from there. And I just kept getting so much pushback. Yeah. And then, I know one of the things online, because even though I don't want to go on the internet, I do often. And it was Rosie starts stuff and then she backs down. And I wasn't meaning to start stuff. Mm-hmm. I was asking clarifying questions to try to understand these group of girls I'm now hanging out with. And when I'm seeing such drastic reactions to things, I was whoa, I thought you were an open book.
Right.
I thought you were saying this in front of a group of people, but now we can't say it in the... there's a lot of unspoken rules that I just didn't know about. And so I had to learn the hard way. And there was also a lot of things going on that you guys never get to see. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't as much as Rosie is just over here. I mean, I do stir the pot a little bit, and I am messy. And I guess, you know what, I own it. If I want to know something, I'm going to straight up ask, and you're always able to say, I don't want to answer that. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to ask it, even if it's kind of maybe something you wouldn't ask.
I have heard, because you just brought up the things that we don't see, some other housewives that, especially on a trip, you're just hanging out with these ladies and mostly having a good time, but we see the dramatic dinner with the fighting at the end of the night. Right. But they'll be for most of that trip, we were sitting by the pool. Yeah. And really enjoying each other's company.
I mean, a lot of things happen that it's hours and hours of your day. And so, I mean, to be honest with you, I asked if she was polygamous at a picnic. No. That picnic was 4 hours long or something. Right. And I got a reaction that was I don't know, you'll have to ask her. And I was okay, well, you just brought it up, how she's going through such a hard time. I'm trying to understand why she's going through such a hard time. Is it because of this or that? And then, of course, we're playing Never Have I Ever. And honestly, Joellen had already said everything. So I was well, I've never been polygamist, And I did think that was kind of funny. But by the time we got to July 4th, I'm thinking, this was a long picnic. We covered so many topics. Yeah. I'm now kind of do you have something you want to say to me? And I was not really. Because what I asked, I didn't think we were hiding or diverting from, or I thought we were open booking that. Yeah. So but I learned as time went on that there were certain spins that were going, and it was my job to adapt to going along with that, And for
the people who don't know, we're talking about Kelsey, who, like we said earlier, is a self-proclaimed sugar baby. She has...
Oh, no, she's not proclaiming that. She says she's not a sugar baby and that she doesn't have a sugar daddy.
Okay, well... If you look up the definition of what a sugar baby sugar daddy is, she has that relationship with her
I know.
She talks about.
Oh, I know.
And then her boyfriend.
She's also not poly, but she has two boyfriends, and one of the boyfriends has two girlfriends. So it's very confusing.
We find out in the first episode that her boyfriend only spends half the year with her in this gigantic house that they live in, and he spends the other half in Miami with another woman.
Yeah, his other girlfriend.
So that was the original polyamory thing. But then we also learned that she has herself another boyfriend.
But it's not poly. Don't you dare go there.
Again, this is all brought up so immediately. It's just
by accident. That was my bad. It wouldn't have been brought up so quickly if it wasn't for me asking the question.
You've done the world a service because it's great television.
Anything I can do. I didn't mean to do it. I thought it was just normal. If everybody knows about this, and this person has been living this life for so long, why are you not allowed to talk about it?
Is it because you brought it up? Do you think that's the root of the reason why she has such a hard time with you?
No. Oh, no, she's made it very clear. in the show, outside of the show. I think one of the first things she ever said about me on the show is that she doesn't like me. She didn't like me since before we met. And she doesn't think I'm a girl's girl, and she doesn't think I'm this, and she doesn't think I'm that. And it's like, you've never really gave me a chance, you know? Even this whole Notes app thing, I don't know where, you know, it's like her new spin. I think she's grasping at straws with that, but because I can promise you she's never been in my phone. She has no idea what's in there. She would be very scared if she knew it was in there. So it's one of those things where it's like, we're grasping at straws here. You need a new reason to dislike me. Nothing's really landed. Like, keep in mind too, when I was saying a lot of things, you guys don't get to see everything. We only have a certain amount of time. You know, you get to see a snippet of our life and a snippet of what's going on. But I was dealing with, I mean, she was saying that my husband was gay. She was saying, just admit you're in a lavender marriage. She was saying my infertility issues were a lie. Like, were you there when we were trying to make a baby? I don't think so. Not that I remember anyways, you know? She was saying stuff about that I was mentally ill, like, which if I was, probably, like, don't scream at somebody and, like, yell at them about that. So by the time the haircut thing happened, I was like, you're just looking for stuff to have a problem with me for.
It also seems, in my opinion at least, so petty on her end.
Yeah,
you didn't tag me in an Instagram post after I cut your hair.
I paid her for the haircut. It seems like she needs the money a little bit more than the post.
It's very thirsty.
Like, come on. Well, that's the thing, and you know what? I would have done it, and I've learned my lesson. I'm posting everyone now. I'm tagging everyone. I'm paying for it. I'm tagging them in it. I'm doing all the things. Like, I try to be very reasonable and, like, logical about stuff, and if I Venmo you and I send you a nice text and, like, I never hear back that you want me to post, I'm assuming we're good.
Yeah.
It also wasn't a collab thing where it wasn't like she reached out to me and was like, I just got this certificate and I would really love it if you helped me with this. I saw that she just got this certificate and was trying to come up with reasons to hang out with her one-on-one and, like, spend time with her. And so I was like, hey, like, I'd love for you to cut my hair. I'm looking for a new hairdresser. Keep in mind, I know lots of people in Rhode Island. Like, even Alicia used to be a hairdresser for, like, 20 years. There's many people I could have had cut my hair. I was just doing it as, like, a way to hang out. And, you know, it was, like, kind of awkward. And then I paid her for it, and I sent her a nice text, and I thought nothing of it. A couple months later, I asked, that was in February. I didn't hear about it on the boat till July.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you just holding this in your back pocket? The whole gay husband thing didn't work, and
like,
accusing me of affairs didn't work, and accusing me of getting fired didn't work, and, you know, all the other things you guys didn't see that she accused me of didn't work. So you suck because you didn't post me for the haircut, you know? I've tried a couple months later after the haircut, I had her do my makeup. You know, 'cause she does makeup a little bit here and there, I guess, too. And same thing. I paid her for the haircut, or I paid her for the makeup. I was like, thank you so much for the makeup. And I have an amazing makeup artist in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I didn't need her to do that. I was
makeup looks great right now.
Thank you. I went for the sunburnt look today. But, you know, I was just trying to, like, come up with reasons to hang out. It was made very clear to me that she doesn't want reasons to hang out with me, and she's very cool being friends with Joellen and Liz, and, like, that's okay. But yeah, it's very clear, and you're going to see in the next couple episodes, it's very clear that she just doesn't want to like me, and she doesn't want to give me a chance. So it's like, okay, so you've now attacked me a bunch of times, accused me of a bunch of stuff. You don't listen to anything that I say about anything. And I'm still inviting you over my house so you can cut my hair again, so we can post it on social media, so that you can get the credit that you deserve. And I'm sure I would have had to pay her too, because let's be honest, then it would be I didn't pay her for the haircut too. And so it's like, did I have the plans on the counter? I absolutely did, because you're still going around telling people I'm lying about this when you've also just admitted that you screamed at me like that without ever seeing my plans.
Yeah.
So take a look at them. I have nothing to hide. Here's a measuring tape. I don't know how to do it, but why don't you go out there and measure it for me? Yeah. Make sure, you know?
This is what I appreciate, because you are a journalist, so you care about the truth.
Yes.
And you care about accuracy.
Yes.
And I learned this when I interviewed you on the red carpet for the premiere. Was bringing up all the things that we've already talked about, like how candid everyone is from the start, the polyamory, the affairs, the fact that it's not 20 minutes into the first episode and you all are talking about butt sex.
Right.
And you're like, I need you to correct the record.
Yes. I saw that. I saw that article, and I loved what you guys put in that. Like, former reporter, like, needs accuracy. Yes. And I really do feel that way. I really do try not to say things that I can't prove. So if I don't have documentation or receipts or whatever, I'm probably not going to say it. This past week I did say some stuff that I was like, that's like hearsay, or like, you know, that's somebody sent me this or sent me that or whatever, or told me this or told me that. But you know what? If you're going to play that game, I can play that game too. Like, how many weeks am I supposed to take it before I start fighting back? So, like, yeah, I do usually. And
I'm sure your husband also appreciated that you stuck up for him. You were like, listen, I said I only have butt sex with with skinny dicks.
Yeah, so actually me and Rich don't.
Because it's
because
too big.
Clearly it's so big and amazing. Yeah, I was like really traumatized with that. I was like, that was out of context. That had to do with my joke about big Italian sausages.
Yes.
But they only show this, and I was like, oh, that sounds so weird, but welcome, you know?
You were played recently on What Happens Live by Justin Theroux, which
Imagine.
What
That's
a
crazy.
life highlight.
I know.
But they recreated the scene that, I mean, you're one end of what I think
With
is the
me
most
and Alicia,
iconic scene of
Yeah, me
Real
just sitting there
Housewives.
being like, what?
Where she's yelling at you, yelling at you, and then she finishes it off with, "Welcome to Rhode Island, bitch." That's, I mean,
it is. It's so iconic. It's so good, and it's so Alicia.
yeah.
You know.
When I saw the trailer, I assumed that she was saying it to Ashley.
No.
Because Ashley's not from Rhode Island, but she was saying, but you are actually the recipient of it.
Well, so I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up very close to the Rhode Island border. I worked in Rhode Island for, a very long time. I was like the face of numerous shows in Rhode Island, But to these girls, I am an outsider. And it doesn't matter how long I've been here because I wasn't living in Cranston with them and I didn't go to kindergarten here and I can't be trusted and I'm just, and it all stems from the fact that I'm literally just not from here.
Not eating crackers, playing with dolls, and running over women.
You would think, you would think after a while it'd be like, okay, well, she's lived here long enough. But it's it's just, it's an insider world over there.
Well, I'm so glad to talk to you because you are iconic.
Thank you. This is fun.
You're from the news, so do you want to take us out? Do you want to?
Oh my gosh, are we already done? Which camera do I look at?
That one right there.
Okay, ready? This is, oh my God, I haven't done this voice in a while because, I do my silly voice that everybody hates, my little Valley Girl voice. Okay. Reporting live from Obsessed Podcast, I'm Rosie Woods DiMare now. I always forget about that last name. Oh my God.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. How fun.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey.
I thought, with summer movie season starting and about 5 billion TV shows premiering every day because of the Emmy season deadlines, that this is a proper time for us to do another catch-up.
Totally. I completely agree.
I have a few favorites that I've seen lately, but I'm curious, what's been catching your eye? Like, what are you, to quote everything behind us, obsessed about right now?
Yes, yeah. So I've been watching a lot more like Broadway shows, seeing a lot more Broadway shows.
Well, you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Or singing and razzle-dazzling my
Yes,
language.
exactly. Yes. The two gays. But yeah, so I recently saw Death Becomes Her for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I've been obsessed with that movie for the longest time.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis. So I actually just saw it this past Sunday, and I look at the playbill, and I'm like, Michelle Williams, what the hell?
You need to clarify, Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child.
That's correct,
Not
yes.
Michelle Williams, the blonde Oscar-nominated actress.
Yes,
So.
exactly, yes. And I was like, actually, I looked it up at first. I was like, is this the Michelle Williams that I'm thinking? And then, yeah, it was. And this was the second show that I've seen recently that I accidentally saw like a celebrity that was in the show. The other one was, I was at Spelling Bee. And it was Artie Abrams from Glee, Kevin McHale, I think is his name, which was just like, it was so funny. My girlfriend and I like slapped each other. We were like, we're such gleeks. And we're actually rewatching it right now.
Oh, wow.
And so the fact that he came on stage and we were like, oh my God, he's not in a wheelchair. This is crazy. We hardly recognized him.
No, it's always really fun. It's not a new phenomenon for celebrities to be on Broadway stages, and sometimes it's really, really good and rewarding.
Yeah.
Great recent examples are Daniel Radcliffe, who's done a few shows on Broadway in a row.
Yeah.
He's been in this one-man show called Every Brilliant Thing. He just got nominated for a Tony for it. He is so unbelievably good.
Yeah.
I've always been in admiration of him.
Yeah.
Because, he has made like billions of dollars and he could just like go live in an island somewhere.
He doesn't have to do anything.
He doesn't have to do anything, but instead he is still working and he's choosing such interesting projects. He's working a lot on the stage. All the TV shows and movies I've been doing are very like quirky, and he's great in all of them. And this show in particular leaves you sort of just like riding high out of the theater, like a what do you call it, a pep in your step.
Yeah,
to,
totally.
Like, quote like one of my grandparents. Like.
Yeah. That is a grandparent quote.
Yeah.
Is he singing in it?
No, this one it's just a model. It is a one-man show.
Oh, okay.
It's a play, but there's a lot of audience participation. So I was
Wow.
going to say that it's just him monologuing for the whole time. But that's not true. He actually involves the audience a lot, and so there is a lot of interaction. But there are also times where like celebrities starring Broadway don't really work. Like also this season I saw a very moving and certainly fine play called Fear of 13 that starred Adrian Brody and Tessa Thompson. Both, amazing actors. Adrian Brody has 2 Best Actor Oscar wins. Like, he's a very good, accomplished actor.
But it didn't work?
Just fell flat. Like, the movie stardom that works so well for them on camera just did not translate into anything electric or tangible on stage. Neither one of them were bad, per se.
Oh.
Just one of those things where, like, especially when there's a celebrity, these already astronomically priced tickets skyrocket even higher.
Yeah.
And so when you're paying that kind of money just to see celebrity, and it's just sort of like, okay.
Yeah.
It's very disappointing.
I was really tempted to see Moulin Rouge because Megan Thee Stallion was in it. And then I saw that there was like a video of her like fainting backstage during the performance. So, I mean, I don't know if necessarily if you're a celebrity, you should just necessarily think that you can do a Broadway show. Yeah. But, I mean, I want to see as many Broadway shows as I can, preferably if they have a celebrity in them, though.
The money part.
Yeah. But I've been rushing, though. So,
yeah. I mean, and if you want to see celebrities this season, there's no shortage of them.
Yeah.
Io Debris on stage from The Bear.
Oh, yeah.
So is her co-star.
Wait, what's she in?
Proof.
Oh, okay.
With Don Cheadle, also a famous celebrity. I always pronounce his name wrong. Her co-star from The Bear, Eben Moss Backrack, and John Bernthal are in Dog Day Afternoon together.
Oh, cool.
Taraji P. Henson is in Joe Turner's Come and Gone. Like, there's celebrities everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the case every season now where there's this influx of A-listers. One, I obviously, they're actors, so this is where they go to act, and a lot of them have started on Broadway, or on stage at least, so it's sort of like a coming home for them. But also from the business side of things, it's really appealing to producers to cast, a movie star because there's such huge competition for the, small group of people who can afford to see these shows at this point that you need any leg up that you can get.
Yeah.
And so if you can get the fans of these celebrities who want to see them live in the flesh, they'll cough up the money for that.
Who would be like somebody that you would pay, I don't know, $3,000 to go see on Broadway?
There's not a person.
Okay. Well, who's somebody who'd be willing to spend big money to go see that you think should be starring in one of the shows on Broadway right now?
They're both veterans of the stage, so this isn't like a new thing that they're doing. But friends of mine and I are looking into doing a vacation to London next summer when Jonathan Bailey and Ariana Grande are going to be starring in Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they're doing
together.
Together, yeah. They're going to be in that. The tickets are going to be expensive. They're actually not as bad in the West End.
Yeah. But technically, you are spending $3,000 to get there, and
But it's also that for me is a vacation.
Yeah, totally.
It's not like taking the subway 10 minutes and suddenly have spent that much money.
Yeah.
But Jonathan has won the Olivier Award, which is the West End version of the Tony, for being in musicals before. He's starred in so many Shakespeare plays. Ariana Grande's first acting was on Broadway. And obviously they both were in Wicked, so they have the chops to pull off musical theater.
Yeah.
So those are two people that I'm just huge fans of, and the fact that they're doing this together after being so charming together on Wicked, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fly over there.
That sounds great.
If I can work it out, if I can get tickets. That's the other thing with these celebrities starring in these shows is when they're a hot ticket like that, they sell out really fast, and then your only option is hoping to
sell your body.
Yeah, well, that in order to afford the scalpers. So.
Do you have an inn over there that you can like?
No.
No.
And that won't matter when all of the Ariana Grande fans flood the ticket sites. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
What have you been obsessed with seeing?
If you had asked me this question a month ago, I would never have imagined that I'd be saying it's The Sheep Detectives.
I don't know even what that is.
It is the Hugh Jackman movie with a talking sheep.
Like, is it animated?
The sheep are CGI.
Oh.
very convincing CGI. I'm actually pretty sure that there's some combination of like puppetry and CGI happening. It's very much in line. I don't know if you grew up watching the movie Babe.
Oh wait, the one with the pig?
Talking pig. And
Yes,
all the
I've seen
farm
that.
animals.
Yes.
This is the vibe of this movie, which I wasn't really expecting. I thought it just sounded so buffoon to me. It was the Hugh Jackman talking sheep movie, and the premise is that Hugh Jackman plays a shepherd who's murdered, and the sheep sort of avenge him by solving the mystery themselves. And they're armed with the knowledge to do this because before his death, George, who's a character that Hugh Jackman plays, would every night read them murder mysteries before bed. So these bedtime, like Agatha Christie kind of stories are what makes the sheep sort of know how to investigate the case, because the human investigators are all bumbling idiots, of course, in a movie like this. But it's so funny and warm and earnest. It's so good. It's between that and Project Hail Mary for my favorite movie of the year so far.
Wow.
And I'm not the only one. Like, I was just at a premiere party last night for a new movie with Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And I was with a bunch of other critics and journalists, and all of us were just like, sheep detectives. Sheep detectives. I wrote about it for my Substack, and people have written afterwards being like, thank you for recommending this movie.
Wow.
It was so beautiful. Because also it has a lot of really moving things and touching things and quite profound things for a family film like this to say about death and sort of not embracing it, but understanding what loss means to you and what you gain by remembering people that you've lost and who you're grieving. I think it's gonna.
Did you cry?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna help a lot of like parents and kids understand how to talk about heavy issues like death together.
Yeah.
Which I think will be important. I love the Sheep Detectives, and I can't believe it, but it's so good.
I wonder what kind of drugs a person has to be on to come up with that concept.
Well,
That's crazy.
The funny thing is, it's a very, like I said, it's a family-friendly movie. It's very warm, very earnest. Nothing, you don't like see any violence or anything like that. You just understand that this person was killed. It was co-written by the guy who made Chernobyl and The Last of Us. So it's like,
wow.
How are you going from that to this and doing it so well? But he does. He's
trying to build up the resume with a bunch of different ends of the spectrum. That's crazy.
Craig Mazin is his name, and he is clearly very good at what he does.
Wow. I mean, I guess that's like unique. Like, I don't think there were any movies when I was growing up that offered that kind of component talking about death or in a gentle way, for sure.
It also reminded me a lot of Toy Story 3.
Oh.
I don't know how familiar you are with that, but
yeah, duh.
But at the end of that film, they're all facing the incinerator, and they all join hands and sort of like face it together. And to me, that is really intense for a kids movie.
Totally.
I think that I think The Sheep Detectives is in line with that in the ways that it makes people think about things. It's almost Pixar-esque in the way that Pixar movies really do bring up emotions and encourage people to, encourage kids especially to understand the more complicated feelings in life in a not just with kid gloves way.
Yeah.
The way it's so in contrast to like the Disney cartoons I grew up with, where like it's just like bam, Bambi's mother is killed.
That's so true.
Like playing this movie, there goes Mufasa.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like,
God.
I remember my aunt.
I feel like that's like trauma bonding at its finest, is being in the theaters and experiencing that together.
My aunt used to tell me and my cousins, because we were so upset when Bambi's mom died, that we were like, oh, we didn't really understand that she was, hunted and shot. We were like, what happened to Bambi's mom? And she would say, oh, she just went shopping.
Just like didn't even tackle
and, like,
it.
we didn't. We're like, oh, okay.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, she'll be back.
We never, it never occurred to us that she doesn't return.
When did you realize?
Oh, I mean, we're talking. I was probably like 5 or 6 when this ruse was happening. And I think, soon after that, I understand.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, what an interesting concept of a movie. Is it in theaters right now?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Go see it.
I'm just thinking, like, I'm picturing him and like sheep, and it makes sense to me why he would be playing alongside sheep, because he kind of sounds like a sheep when he sings.
I was sort of like, when I first heard about it, like, did is he like late on his payments for a beach house, or does a studio executive have blackmail on him or something?
Maybe.
Like, why would he agree to star in this? And then I watched it. I was like, of course he would star in this, because it's such a good movie, such a great script.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a real word of mouth hit in the U.S. because everyone I know that's seen it has been a real evangelist for it. The other thing that I really want to recommend for people to watch, it's a TV show on Apple TV called Widow's Bay.
Oh.
It stars Matthew Rhys, who is, he was in The Americans and Brothers and Sisters, and he was just in The Beast Within Me. I think it was on Netflix, that one. He's one of TV's like best leading actors, and this TV show, I think they've aired 5 episodes so far. It's a blend of like sort of like supernatural horror, sort of, but also comedy, but not like writing jokes, haha comedy, just like the characters are so quirky and the situations so that they get into and get frustrated by and exasperated by are so, eccentric, and the way that they react to them is that's funny. So it's very unique in that way. It's about this sort of island town, like a Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket kind of place, that doesn't have that sort of recognition. So the mayor, played by Matthew Rhys, is trying to get like tourism there and thinking that it's going to really just revitalize and give life to the island. But the issue is that the island and all the residents of the island are convinced that it is sort of cursed. There are things that have happened over the years that you learn about over the course of the episodes that suggest supernatural behavior, inexplicable violence.
Is this scary?
Really dark things. It's really interesting in that like the horror elements of it are legitimately creepy, and like you have like a little bit of jump scare moments, but the tone is they juggle so many different things that it's never like relentlessly scary. There are times when it's really lighthearted because this mayor is trying so hard to like make this all work, and every time he does, there's like a ghost lady who pops up.
It's giving that
like,
Scooby-Doo movie.
It's actually it's like a elevated
Scooby-Doo,
more sophisticated Scooby-Doo. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. But it just feels cool. Like I watch it, and I'm like, this is a cool TV show.
Like if a TV show had like a leather jacket and was smoking a cigarette, that's this.
Yeah, that sort of. Because, again, it's this really old, sort of weathered island with these people who've been living there their entire lives for generations. So they're not cool people. They're actually very weird, strange people because they're so isolated on this island and don't really know much
Social
life
cues.
beyond it. So they are very odd people. But just like the vibe of the show and the fact that it's doing something so fresh and so unique, and in that vein, sort of risky, but doing it so well, I think is what gives it that cool factor.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for telling me what you're obsessed with.
Yeah.
I have to check all the shows out, and that movie specifically, the sheep one, has really piqued my interest.
Everyone go see The Sheep Detectives. We need to make this the biggest hit of the summer.
I'm making shirts.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Rosie. That was so much fun. But we want to hear from you. Are you watching The Real Housewives of Rhode Island? Who's your favorite? Let me know. And what are you obsessed with right now? I need some recommendations. So please leave some comments. As always, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at the Obsessed channel. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like me, please subscribe to my Substack at obsessed.substack.com. Thank you to our producer, Rachel Passer. And that's all. See you next time.